Welcome back to the Al Nathan Show, everybody. We're still joined by Bob Weiner, Democrat strategist, columnist, and the only person who was a spokesman for the House Narcotics Committee and the White House Drug Policy Office. All right, so picking up where the last segment left off, you were talking about the U.S. helping Afghanistan revive its economy by creating a drug economy with opioids and sending them out to Europe. You had a column on that, I believe. Well, I guess, first of all, what's the title of that column so our listeners can check it out?
Go to my website. Thanks, Joseph. Go to my website, weinerpublic.com, WEINERPUBLIC.com, and it was in the Miami Herald, and it's something about Afghanistan's war on drugs, ignoring Afghanistan's drug issue as part of the solution for Afghanistan in the Miami Herald.
Okay. Now, going on to that, how's this affecting our international relations? Are other countries paying attention to it, or are they themselves so liberal on opioid usage it doesn't really matter to them? Like, I know, for example, England. I don't know if they still do it, but I know in the 70s they tried it, where they just either decriminalized or legalized heroin use and set up free clinics all over the place to help people with their drug habit.
Well, funny you should ask. It's a worldwide problem. Russia was very concerned about it, and many times, until I found out that RT was a pawn of Putin and simply was his spokesperson, I did a number of interviews, and they got really livid when I pointed it out to them that the United States had designated RT, Russia Today Television, as an agent of a foreign government. But that's what it is. And so I did a number of interviews on RT because they kept inviting me because Russia hated the fact that the heroin was going into Russia and hurting their people. So, of course, it's a worldwide issue. And Europe should be concerned and NATO should be concerned. A lot of it goes to England and France and so forth and kills their citizens. So it is a world issue, and unfortunately, people are just being bought by the concept of Afghanistan, which has been like a pit for everybody who's ever gone into it and tried to accomplish anything in it, and that includes us. So people are just trying to get rid of the problem, and this is a way without taking into account where it takes you.
Now, you say the other nations should be concerned. Have you seen signs aside from Russia that they actually are or do anything about it?
Well, it was in our drug strategy that we were going to let it go and let England take care of the drug issue. And I remember putting that into an op-ed, and of course that got them livid, but I did this mysterious thing of, read the drug strategy that we'd put out right after I left, and it said that. It had the words in there that said we're leaving it to England and we weren't going to do anything about it so that Afghanistan could restore its economy. Why we would put that in our drug strategy, that's a public document, is a good question, but, people do stupid things when they're in government. And so that's the deal, is that they just are willing to let it go, and we are too.
Now, another thing you brought up last segment, you mentioned Big Pot. Who exactly are they? Because the average person, me being the average person, of course, is the yardstick for that. I think, how can there be a big pot when it hasn't even been legal long enough for anyone to legally acquire funds for it?
Well, it has. I get along with George Soros on a lot, and I visited with his top team in his big office overlooking Central Park, on top of this giant building and this gorgeous view and all that. But one thing that I completely am different with him on is his claiming what we talked about earlier, that the drug war has been a failure, and he's funding all these referendums all over the country, and that's a reason why a lot of this is happening. And big pot companies, marijuana companies, there actually are them that run the clinics, they run the supplies in the states that are legal. And so we have to be very careful of that, to not create this industry that's just another pharmaceutical lobbying group in the Congress.
Huh. Yeah, you really don't think about that because, interstate trafficking of marijuana from one state where it's legal to another is illegal. But then trafficking money and influence, though, is legal, and that's just some aspect that goes neglected.
That's exactly right. And even the trafficking of marijuana, if it's enforced or not enforced. It was a big issue with Holder last time that he wasn't going to enforce the marijuana laws. And then Sessions came in. How much I differ with Sessions on absolutely everything, being right-wing and racist and all of that. But I absolutely agreed with him on enforcing federal laws on drugs, and he reversed the Holder policy on marijuana, and they actually went into a clinic in California and raided it and so forth, and made the message. The people in California, the police will tell you that it's not medical marijuana in California. 99% of the people going in there are just going in to get marijuana and using an excuse. You know, what doctor is just going to write a piece of paper and claim that it's a prescription? You know, they're part of the dealing trade.
Now, from the incoming Biden Attorney General, Merrick Garland, I don't think he's been confirmed yet, but did anyone ask him about if he would continue Eric Holder's policy?
Well, isn't that an interesting question? And he was not asked, and so, you know, I suspect that he'll be a little loose on it also, but he is at least there's going to be integrity in the Justice Department where it's not controlled by the politics of the personal friendships of the president and who he wants to let off, like Roger Stone and Flynn and all of that, to reverse decisions that the Justice Department would otherwise make. Biden has said hands off on justice, and he's spot on that. We have to have integrity in the Justice Department. I do not know what his position is on marijuana. He was not asked it, and I don't know that there's any precedent in his rulings on it, and we'll check on that.
Well, I guess a we'll see comment on that would be more appropriate 2 minutes from now when the segment ends. But instead, we're back with one more question left about.
I know, and Ben is looking it up right now to see what Garland's position has been on marijuana. If we can get you an answer on time.
If he drops it in before the segment ends, jump in with it. Yeah. Feel free. But right now, I'm going to ask about the medical use of marijuana because you mentioned that it's the people, the companies involved with that who are pressing for its legalization. Like, I know some people who actually benefit from that. Regular meds hurt them, and then they take the medical marijuana or whatever, and they're doing okay. Unfortunately, they're jobless. Whereas an educated person, six-figure salary.
Wait. Ben, you're on. He just found it. What's the answer?
Okay.
If confirmed,
deprioritize enforcement of low-level marijuana.
He will deprioritize enforcement of low-level marijuana arrests, such as possession. And suggested that federal reforms are tied to social justice. So that's his position.
Okay. Well, so much for my question about medical marijuana usage. I got cut up by breaking news. No problem. We'll get to it next time. I'm going to have you on Monday. We'll pick it up from there with whatever else comes on. And listeners, you can also, I guess you just heard it, tune in to hear me on Monday. Tune in to hear Alan tomorrow and this weekend here on the Alan Nathan Show on the Main Street Radio Network. Pick us up, Facebook, Twitter. We're on social media too. And we stream online.